Yo, you're not going to pop butter by your jumity. Jumita yat to Barayashi. Ah, yes, about welcome my yat to the tin, no part viewing chumity. No part viewing chumity. You're welcome to actually doubt the bitter truth. The bitter truth. Remember, truth is bitter, like bitter pills. It must be told. If today is the first time that you are watching the bitter truth on Ghana Man News YouTube channel or Ghana Man News Facebook channel, we are humbly pleading with you to kindly subscribe to Ghana Man News YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell. Most importantly, let us get interactive. Let's hear from you. Your views, opinion, suggestions is very important for us. Kindly drop them in the comment section. Today we decided to title today's presentation as President Mahama has made Ghana and Africa proud for making it possible for United Nations to declare slavery as greatest crime against humanity. And the title for today's presentation is President Mahama made Ghana proud. And President Mahama made Ghana and Africa proud on UN Declaration of Slavery Crime Against Humanity. President Mahama made Ghana and Africa proud on UN Declaration of Slavery Crime Against Humanity. This is what we want to talk about. If today is the first time that you are watching the show on Ghana Man News YouTube channel, kindly subscribe to the YouTube channel, click on the notification bell, and drop your views in the comment section. Zayara kainda omampenyim John Dramani Mahama wama Ghana ena ebibiman enyim abenyam wo United Nation meeting. Wama UN kubatanen aja tumde yenyim sefa abakwa sama order ebibimani mu ni oman Ghana mu a onye de abrofo emfibaye ahebasa abesenenen obafo ye nananum nkansoa the one call nkwasum edwumayem etinde se efa oye mpuncho wa kodo wo abrichimani ma ne kese jina nye nananum nkansoa wa fo won koye nkrutu dwuma koye adonko dwuma wo hwere won enyim fifir wo hwere won moje na wodi si oye abrichiman dudora na woton won wa ha asem ndonkofo the one koye ndonko dwuma wo oye abrichiman ono ena bibimanen aban amampenyimfo weizi hu okomo ebobo de bir aso de wianze baja tum de ebibiman fa wo fo won ko nkosum edwumayem wo abrichiman mu nenen oye bone kese a wo ye tia oye ebibiman yankai de omampenyin na nado danko akufa do share da makase yasi wo 2023 na bira omampenyin John Dramani Mahama so Ghana foto abaman mo baye omampenyin nenen wenje manto ofo kuna na nado danko akufa do share senenen wa pirara ma oye ne da nyame adom United Nations kubata na ja tumde ampa oye bon kase ina wiazi abrochiman wodi tia oye ebibiman ni Caribbean manen eyi saso inti na yaraka de His Excellency John Dramani Mahama wama Ghana enna ebibiman ozenyemnyam ze abra oman Ghana ni ebibiman yanko na yenkete zo okodon bra United Nation kubata nji tumwie nenen oye yan Minister for Foreign Affairs Samuel Okujeto Abrapa onyin samtrofo di ehyiemenen za okanenen yanko na yenkote.
The racialized chattel enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity. With the adoption of this resolution, Resolution A/80/L48, we have not simply passed a text, we have affirmed a truth. We have chosen remembrance over silence, dignity over erasure, and shared humanity over division. We have advanced the cause of justice, and we have done that so emphatically. Those who voted in favor, 123 member states of the United Nations. 52 abstained, and only 3 voted against. This is an emphatic victory for justice, and our ancestors, Africans and all people of African descent, are today honored that our humanity and our dignity have been restored. Let me, on behalf of the African Group, express our profound appreciation to all member states who supported this resolution. We wish to thank those who engaged in its consideration in a spirit of dialogue, reflection, and good faith. We acknowledge that views differed during this process, and we note the positions taken by delegations that were not in a position to support the resolution at this time. The adoption of this text is not an arrival at a destination, but rather a major step in our ongoing journey and collective conversation for reparatory justice. We remain committed to continued engagement with all member states in the shared spirit of cooperation. Yesterday, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, who initiated this landmark resolution, talked about the importance of language, how it shapes our understanding of the past and our vision for the future. Today, through this resolution, the world has spoken with clarity and truth. We have affirmed that the trafficking of enslaved Africans and their racialized chattel enslavement is the gravest crime against humanity, a crime whose scale, structure, and enduring consequences demand recognition at the highest level of our shared global conscience, so that we can move forward in healing and in preventing such a crime from ever happening again. This resolution is not about apportioning blame across generations or nations. It is not about reopening old wounds. It is about ensuring that those wounds are neither forgotten nor denied. It is about creating space for truth, for education, and for a more honest global conversation that allows us to move forward together with greater understanding. History, as we know, is rarely simple. It is layered, it is complex, and at times uncomfortable. This resolution does not deny that complexity. It does not ignore the many dimensions of historical experience. Rather, it recognizes that even within complexity, there are moments in history that stand apart, moments defined by their scale, their systemization, and their impact on humanity. To acknowledge this is not to diminish any other history. It is to deepen our collective moral awareness. What we have achieved today helps all of us in our renewed commitment to remembrance, so that future generations inherit truth, not silence, to education, so that history is taught with honesty and integrity, to dialogue, so that differences in perspective become opportunities for understanding, and to cooperation, so that we address the enduring legacies of history in ways that unite rather than divide. The resolution also opens the door for continued global engagement on reparatory justice, not as a narrow or transactional concept, but as a broader framework for healing, restoration, and partnership. It also calls for further actions within our respective states. We therefore urge every member state to consider carefully the actions it must take to ensure inclusive and good faith dialogue on reparatory justice. The work of justice does not end with remembrance. The racialized systems that adversely shaped our world must yield to a system that does not distinguish between our common humanity, and which seeks for the interests of all peoples in a fair, just, and equitable manner. Let me conclude with this reflection. We cannot change history, but we can change how we remember it. And in doing so, we can change what we carry forward. Today, the world has chosen to remember with purpose, justice, and equity. Let that purpose guide us toward a future that is more just, more inclusive, and more profoundly human. I would like to thank our negotiating team, staff of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the staff of our mission in New York, in Geneva, and in Addis Ababa. And I would like to thank especially our President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, for his vision, his dynamism, his effectiveness, which the UN Secretary General acknowledged today in their bilateral engagement, and for his humanity. His guidance has been absolutely phenomenal in bringing us to this historic moment. Ghana, Africa, and all people of African descent, and indeed all people of the world with good conscience, will eternally be grateful to President Mahama for his leadership at this defining hour in global history. I thank you very much for your indulgence, and I shall now take your questions.
Among those that voted against the resolution was the United States. Were you disappointed by that vote? And also, if you can comment on those that abstained, more than 50 nations. How do you feel about those? Thank you.
So I would like to comment on the reasons they gave. They sought to create the impression that the time for negotiations have been short. The President of Ghana served notice last year in September when he delivered his address at the 80th session of the General Assembly. Immediately thereafter, we put together a broad-based coalition, including experts, academics, researchers, historians from all regions of the world, and we commenced negotiations. In the history of the United Nations, this has been a resolution that has gone through so many rounds of consultations. And even the duration for this consultation, each consultation, the standard practice at the UN is that it takes 1.5 hours. We allocated 3 hours, twice the time, and had multiple rounds of negotiations. So there are some that to us, it is clear that even if we gave them 50 years, they would say that the time is not enough. But we can no longer wait. September, we will be commemorating 100 years since the last slavery was abolished. 100 years. And yet there has been no justice. A whole century. So we cannot keep waiting for those who do not want to reckon, who do not want to come to the table with urgency and with acknowledgement that this is a matter that can no longer be swept under the carpet. So we disagree with the notion that there was no time for negotiations. Secondly, the claim they have made that we are seeking to create a hierarchy of crimes. We have stated clearly that it is not about hierarchy. We are only speaking to a historical fact. Never in the history of mankind have we had such a systemic crime. We took over 3 centuries, more than 300 years, with its consequences still lingering onto this day, manifesting in racism, in structural inequality. So we are talking about the contextual framing of what has happened, not about ranking crimes. And we made that very clear. So we are clear in our minds that some are just deliberately stonewalling and introducing red herring. But what is fundamental, which nobody can deny, is that more than 12.5 million people were forcibly removed from the continent. More than 3 million people died, were tossed into the transatlantic ocean, which is a mass grave site. And in our country, Ghana, we are currently, UNESCO has certified that, the country with the highest number of slave forts and castles. We are living witnesses on a daily basis when we go into those castles and forts and we see the door of no return. We break down. My daughter Indiva, on an excursion only last week, broke down and asked me, "Daddy, what did we do wrong?" And why has there been no justice? I had no answers for my 14-year-old daughter. So we live with these experiences on a daily basis, and we live with the structural consequences. And that is what this is about. All those other matters about ranking, about time, about more space for negotiations, we believe that they are just red herrings, and it is not a demonstration of good faith so far as the pursuit of justice in this matter is concerned.
Minister, one of the key reasons raised by the United States for which reason they are abstaining is the lack of clarity on who is the recipient of the reparatory justice. What is your response to that?
That is surprising, because we have, in this resolution, talked about frameworks we should put in place that will take care of the consequences. We all know that the consequences of the transatlantic slave trade has been the lack of opportunity, discrimination, the degradation of people of color. So we have said, let's have frameworks that will serve as endowment funds to support education, to support empowerment, to support skills training, capital for entrepreneurs, and all of that. And we have made clear that African leaders or Caribbean leaders are not looking for money. It goes against our conscience to seek to profit from this. We don't want any payments made to us directly. We are talking about courses to deal with the structural inequalities. And we are also talking about the return of artifacts to the continent. It's all in the resolution. There are thousands of artifacts from Egypt all the way to the Ashanti Kingdom in Ghana. Those artifacts should not be returned on piecemeal as and when those who are in custody of those artifacts are in a good mood. So we have outlined what must be done and to whom these redress should be addressed to. So again, it is totally wrong for a claim to be made that there is no clarity about who benefits from reparatory justice. Okay.
Congratulations on the overwhelming victory in the General Assembly. I know you're busy, so I'll make it quick. What message does this resolution, this draft that has now been adopted, send to other people outside Africa right now that are fighting for reparatory justice?
This resolution sends a very clear message that the international community would no longer tolerate impunity, that the international community stands for justice, that the international community and our multilateral system we have erected, no matter how long it takes, the day of reckoning will come. And so all of us as leaders should be mindful of our actions and our policies, that once we violate the rights of others, once we engage in impunity, in acts of injustice, the day of reckoning will come. To me, that is a very, very profound message that the UN is sending to the world today. Let me take the last one.
Stefan Vaccaro, Voce in New York. Did you have, in this process, did you have any contact with African American leaders here in this country, especially in Congress? Did you have any contact?
Yes, we did. I personally met with the Congressional Black Caucus. I met with the NAACP. I met with the NAN of which is led by Reverend Al Sharpton, and I am delighted to note that following our meetings, they all publicly endorsed this draft resolution. The Congressional Black Caucus actually wrote to the U.S. ambassador here to make sure that he votes in favor of this resolution. I'm sure he's really in trouble with the Congressional Black Caucus, 62 congressmen who urged him to vote positively, and he's defied them. I don't want to be in his shoes today. There was also a statement of endorsement yesterday from NAACP, and I also note that a lot of black members of parliament, particularly in the House of Commons, the MP Belle Ribeiro, she has also done a phenomenal job in mobilizing the House of Commons in support of this resolution. So we've had a very broad-based coalition And we thank them very much for the support, the pressure that they all brought to bear. That is what has culminated in this victory. So it's a collective victory, and collectively we must all take credit for this victory. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have more opportunities to interact. Thank you. Have a great day. Good. A racialized child.
Sayati Asama Oya, the foreign minister, Samuel Okujeto Abrapa, Abrenten Ozi Atuga. I think that's a work. It is long awaited expectation of the people of Africa descent. The Oya United Nations Ajatum. The Yananama Council are for one fee or yet a baby manimu. Ah, Omaniga Nakamoto one quabro, Chimanamu Koye. Nkutru juma koye nkwosum fo ye edwuma dzam hwe wonanye mfifi ye wono moje de chichir oye abrochiman mo mande abrochiman ayemo osi otiya na akwenya abade ampa infi oha basan chire ne 300 years chire ne afei na oye wiadiri ja tumde ampa za woye tia oye adisia wodo wono fie bibi mane mu nenenen oye musudzi oye bon kase na waye tia oye nipa waye tia bibi mane nenenen yada nyamiase isa sonse na yakade His Excellency John Dramani Mahama kona wakone mande wiada ajatum na waye bon kase etia ebibi man ni omani Ghana nenenen watu omani Ghana ni ebibir man enyim na za yare kan no kwam yare kan yede enye His Excellency John Dramani Mahama na nkote na wako omampenyi na nado danko akufo ado hyase 2023 nyame na ado magana foto aba man second chance omampenyi John Dramani Mahama ne oba ne no hunde oyaze papa wen wanto anchin osom wa atiodo mande nkunyimze aba na nkunyimze aba ma omani Ghana nkunyimze aba ama ebibiman nkunyimze aba ma oye omampenyi Mahama nyi na nado nyinara ne na nado so ni chafa wom mande yekudu bia yete da yekudu den dam na yahwehwe ama oman Ghana ne nchichiri na no puntu dam na yahwehwe ama ebibiman saya kabom yanan peyifo ka won ho bom na wo prempuntu zama omani Ghana wo prempuntu zama oye ebibamana obokodo yanan sabaka kaide dwumedi arehwe ne ya no kwarnwi dwumedi senda nyida ozika na ahwe dwumedi ya ahobrasi mara ya tuta srede subscribe to Ghana Bad News YouTube channel nenen click adomano do amadwumedi ye nenen awonso wadwenkyere ohia kaide omampenyi na nado danko akufa do no se mama yenye bahwa azefo nemom yenye timamofo oya asam papa kanu kwanwiwin dwumedi hu na yenye etimamofo amanya anye bahwa azefo mampuntu a yenyina yere per ama oman Ghana nanan yensa akanya chefa kaide dwumedi nizina ranye no kwar wiwin penyifo se no kwar yewin ne kaya kana ona baka no kwar wiwin yabaka. Remember, the show you are watching is The Bitter Truth. Former President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo made a clarion call to us not to be spectators, but citizens. Join The Bitter Truth to be citizens. We said President John Dramani Mahama has made Ghana and Africa proud. The fight was not only his fight. Nana Danko Akufo-Addo started in 2023. He continued it, and successfully today the United Nations has accepted that slavery is a crime against humanity. And this is the reason we are saying John Dramani Mahama and African leaders, they have made Ghana and Africa proud. If today is the first time that you are watching The Bitter Truth on the Ghana Bad News YouTube channel, we're humbly pleading with you to kindly subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell so that anytime we upload content or we are doing a show, you can be part of it. What is important for us is your views, your opinions, suggestions. Kindly drop them in the comment section. May the Lord protect and keep you. We thank you so much. We appreciate that you use your resource, your time, and your data to watch this show. Drop your comments. Remember, it is the bitter truth. Stay blessed. So we come your way with another unadulterated, authentic, bitter truth.